So now you have to pay attention to that, because if you pick up the phone and call a lead from Realtor.com or Zillow or whatever it might be, understand the disposition that you have going in. What is the challenge that you have going in? In other words, if they expect you to know something about that property, then you're going to have to be prepared to deal with that. Okay. So if you can, and you do know, and I don't know because I don't buy leads from Zillow or Realtor.com, so I don't really know what that orientation looks like, but I think it's very important that when you're picking up the phone, you're understanding that this orientation is everything. Pay attention to it, okay? Because that leads us to today's call, where I want to be able to help you deal with it. I think a lot of people look at lead generation and they judge lead generation in isolation. Well, Realtor.com leads are better than Zillow. Direct mail campaigns are better than sign calls, whatever it might be. And you just can't do that in good faith until and unless you are considering, what did somebody say to get the lead or the contact information? What is the disposition of that person when you pick up the phone and call them? What is their expectation? What is their situation? How did they arrive at that moment that you're calling them about? You need to be oriented to that, because what you say to them can't just be all about you and, oh, I have a script for expireds. Well, wait a minute. Are you really thinking about what's most important to them in that moment in time? And if you're not, your scripted performance gets way askew and you're way off into the woods, and you have some challenges there. So I really want to emphasize today that sales is much more about understanding the disposition of the contact, where they're at, so that when you pick up the phone, no matter how evolved or not that contact is, you need to really, really be paying attention. Okay? So that's where we're at with the whole thing today, is that we want to start off. When you ask me, and if Grant Van Dyke's team is here, I'm going to jump right on it with them because they were the ones there, or anybody else that I ask. I know I have one of my agents, Pete Guiney's on today. Pete is going out there, and we're really hyper-focused on that language of somebody walking through the door, which is similar to the live Zillow or the live Realtor.com, assuming somebody's used an app like that or seen it on MLS and they walk through the door. So we really, really need to deal with that, okay? So, hey, by the way, Adam, good to see you out there in the TRC group. Anybody out there online that wants to post a comment, wherever you might be watching, go ahead and do so, and I'll deal with those as well. But I'm going to open up the mic, so be respectful. Remember, *6 mute your mic, *7 unmutes it, okay? Let us see what we got going on here. Check, check. Are we good? Hello?
Yeah.
All right. Don't all jump at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it, the hurricane today? What's the excuse today? Go ahead, Gail. Anybody wants to talk? I'm going to take somebody. Somebody show me. I don't know what's going on. Is it Jupiter didn't align with Mars this week or what? Huh? Holy mackerel. It's like extracting teeth. All right. So, Gail, go ahead and hit me a little bit with your thoughts about yesterday and how that relates to selling. And Pete Guiney, I do see that you're on. So after Gail chats about that, let's talk a little bit about, converting those people in the house when you do that open house this weekend. All right. So, Gail, you go first. Go ahead.
About converting today.
Well, just from yesterday's call. From yesterday's call, not converting today. Anything.
Well, yesterday's call was. Well, we talked a lot about lead generation. You did Zillow. I don't buy those leads either. Yeah. Haven't for several years. But it's the same premise when I do expired leads and canceled. Mm-hmm. We send some material to them. I follow up with phone calls and with a script that's very closely related to the verbiage that's on the letters. Mm-hmm. And I just did actually a listing presentation in Burlingame for $5 million and got it yesterday.
Awesome.
And that
Congrats.
was an expired. So it was
good.
Really awesome. Really wonderful person. Mm-hmm. And he already received everything that I sent in the mail with a CMA. So he felt very comfortable with that. And so that was pretty awesome. So it happened. Understanding that leads are not prospects. So you talk with them and you know timing and motivation. And then being in front of people is the most important thing. Yeah. Conversations, and then conversations in front of them.
All right. So
it's paramount.
So Gail, go back to this for a second. I want you to go back to when you spoke to this person on the phone. First of all, is this a content? Well, this is a rhetorical question for you, but please just be thorough so anybody listening knows the context. Is that did you go through this process by sending content first and then calling to refer to it?
Okay, I sent content first. What happened, Danny, was I went through all of the Mojo's expired and canceled because I knew that Flo probably missed somebody, and this state was canceled in May of this year. So I sent out the information. I had no phone number to him, and he emailed me. And so the minute he emailed me and I had his phone number, I put him on Market Snapshot and eProperty, and put him in Infusionsoft and added tags for conversation, for educational emails, and for me to follow up.
Okay, but I'm not looking for all of the machinations of the follow-up tagging. I'm looking for language. I want to know that. I just want the order of things, because I think what we talked about is a sale that's supported by content that goes out the door. So I just want them to know that you sent some content to this expired listing prior to calling. Yes, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it have to for you, because I think we talked about that in my office, does it have to for you happen simultaneously or not? In other words, do you care if you've sent it first or not? Your intent is to send it. I know that. But is there a rush to call them, or is your preference that the content arrives?
No, call.
Okay. To call first?
I like calling. Yeah. I'll call and say I've sent you something in the mail. I hope that you find it useful. It's about properties that sold when yours didn't. Of course, that's our new language. And I don't mind calling before and talking with them before they receive the content. I would like them to do that, but when I'm talking about lead generation, calling is preferable to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think there's no other way around it. Calling is number one. It's number one. But I'm not really asking that. I'm asking the order of things. I've got you confused here. I'm just asking you the order of things.
Okay,
if you get
right. No, you don't. I just went down a rabbit hole. Went down a rabbit hole. You don't like me going down the rabbit hole. So, okay. You asked me to be thorough, but not detailed. So,
No. All good. What? It's just a simple. It's a simple order of things. Is that
he got the content. He got the content. He read it, because remember, Danny, I did not have an email or a phone number, and he read it, and then he contacted me by email. And then we dialogued from there.
Okay. All right. Great. So you dial out. Do you reference it? How long do you wait before you dial after you've mailed it? You've mailed it. You know it's going out. Do you wait? Do you not wait?
I don't wait.
Okay. You pick up the phone and you say what? Hold on. No, stay with me. Stay with me. No. Stay with me. I got a rope around your ankle. I'm not letting you go down there again. Let's just do it really quickly. So the letter goes out. We know that it's good content, and you pick up the phone and say what? Go. This is a $5 million listing, Gail. Everybody's leaning in on this one.
This is a $5 million listing. I sent a package in the mail for you.
Yeah.
And in the mail, I sent you properties, estates that sold in your area when yours did not sell. And I hope that you find that useful. And then I don't know what else.
Bravo, keep going. Bravo, keep going. I love it.
Okay, so I say to them, and then they'll say, "Oh, great. All right, I'll look at it." And I said, and then I'll say, "Okay, will it be okay if I give you a call back once you receive it?" They say yes.
Okay, awesome.
And I call them back.
Okay, good. So out that went the new language. If you didn't hear her say it, I'll slow it down. I sent you out some pictures of properties that sold when you were in the market, right? Something like that. Did I get it right? Okay. And I hope you find it helpful, which is a big change for Gail and I, Laura, Jace. We've all been talking about this a lot. And this is where I started off.
I say something, Danny. What I'm trying to do is to have them feel the frustration.
Yeah.
I mailed you something in the mail about properties or estates that sold while your home was on the market and when yours did not sell. Something like that.
Yeah, right. You agitate the pain. Yeah, agitate the pain, but
Yeah.
the gift that you're giving is insightful. So in other words, the
Right.
classic is, look, I know your context is that you have this moment that's going on, whether you want to admit it or not. It's, it's a real drag to go on the market, not sell. So what I did was sent you pictures of what did sell while you were in the market, your competitors that won when you didn't. That's agitating the pain. But the fact that you're sending something that's insightful, this will begin to show you something about those properties, right? And so would it be okay if I follow up with you when you get a chance to see it? So you're actually, your first call is out ahead of the arrival of that. Is that right or wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's right.
Okay, so now you wait how long before you go? Because I'm getting this conversation a lot. People say, well, how long do I wait?
I figure out when it's 2 days probably. And I want to make sure it's in their hands. Like I've talked with one lady and she said, you know what, I just got back from vacation, Gail. Is it okay if I just look at it and then you can give me a call back? So that's what she said to me. I said, absolutely. So I give them 2 days after.
Mm.
I put it on an appointment on the time that I spoke with them, because that's usually, if that's the time I spoke with them, getting them back on the phone is going to be difficult. So I want to make sure it's the time that I spoke with them the first time. It makes more logic to me.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, bravo. That's all I wanted to know.
Danny?
Well, go ahead. Come on.
That's 2 days after you mail it, right, Gail? I missed part of the conversation. Sorry.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Awesome. That's all I wanted to do is I just wanted to get people to hear, Gail, what this was. So now you go and you follow up 2 days later. You say what? Keep going. Tell them the rest of the sales story that gets a $5 million listing, because there's no rocket science to it. None. Zero. It's a conversation.
None.
So next. So go. What's next? Keep going. You're on a roll.
So next, I say, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, or Mrs. Seller. Did you receive my package with the sold pictures of sold? I don't know. I haven't, Danny, this is my new thing. So
keep going.
And then have you received the package in the mail? Yes, we have. And what did you think? I want to find out what they thought of it. And then I want to provoke the pain or the frustration. Do you see the properties or estates that I sent you that were sold? Do you think that they're comparable to your estate or property? And they'll say yes or no. And I don't know. Then I'm going to say, will you be thinking about relisting it in the future?
Mm-hmm.
And then that will spur a conversation. Well, no, we don't think we will. We're deciding to use our agent or whatever. I don't know, whatever other questions come up. But those will be my primary questions to ask them.
Okay, good. Bravo. Let's leave it alone. And you just, he went with you. Why? Why did he go with you?
Well, he went with me because of my material, and he vetted me as well. He went with me because he liked my vision statement on my site, and he went with me because of my high-end listing that I had where I did a voiceover. And he liked my personality. Yeah.
A featured property and an about statement. No rocket science, is there? Like the stuff we just talked about.
No.
There is digital life 101. If you don't have a statement they can go to that they can get a vibe for you, if you don't show them what you will do to market their listing and give them some insight to that, if you don't send them content, you have nothing to support your conversation. So your conversation becomes more valid, and none of that was rocket science. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, but I want to add one additional thing. I put him on Market Snapshot, from Top Producer, and that day, once I did that, what I do with all the sellers that I put in into Infusionsoft, they told me that he was looking at properties, and he kept looking at them, and so then I called him again, and this time he said, Gail, you know what? I'm going to be here, whatever date that was yesterday, from Redondo Beach, and I'd like to meet with you.
Okay.
So it was content marketing as well.
Yeah.
sold just exactly what we talked about.
Yeah, right.
Sold property.
Right. And once you get that inch in there, well, it starts off by giving the gift of sold properties, which you did. That was in the package, supplemented by your strategy. But more importantly, the new scripted way to do this weighs heavily on what they want, which is they want pictures of properties that sold when they didn't. They want to know the details. You know, it's beyond the nosy neighbor. It's, I just got my butt whooped by this person. I'm interested in studying why. Let me see it. Send me the details. And that's what happens. So bravo, you did a good job there, right? So ultimately you get a $5 million listing because he trusts you. Now, I'll just leave you with this because I want to go to Pete Guiney next. And Grant Van Dyke, I did see that you finally came in here. So I'm going to circle back to you because where I started, and I'll refresh the conversation. But Gail, so stay there, Grant. So Gail, the key now is to continue that very same behavior, but you're just going in deeper about it. The reiteration of the 7 steps and where you're at, the continued insight, continuing to give him in real time updates, meaning they come from MLS every time something now pens or goes for sale or comes on. I mean, now they're all fair game because now you have to consider them all. New competition coming in. Is that priced right? Does that bring a threat? Pending is the immediate trend. What estate just went under agreement and why? Yeah. And then the sold obviously continues to see what the final close is. So to lean in there continuously and bring this thing to a fruition is really important, right? So bravo, good for you. Yeah.
So one other thing, Dan.
Yeah, go ahead.
I went on a listing appointment 2 months ago. She wanted to choose me, but the kids chose somebody with their nationality. Yeah. And she just emailed me the other day. I sent her, again, a new package, and she emailed me, and she said she wants to meet with me. Yeah. So people love the package. Yeah. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's content marketing. That's what I keep saying. If your content goes out there, if your content looks professional, if it says something intelligent, if you add insight into it, that changes the relationship so that when you pick up the phone, it's a much easier time because you're referencing something that's helpful to them. You're not calling them up, trying to get the latest NLP language to trick somebody into letting you over. Not that the hammer doesn't get a lot of people in either, but the key is it's so much easier. Did you find this difficult at all? Did you find this approach difficult?
No.
Okay. I don't think so either. I think it's this kind of concept of zero resistance selling. Why are we selling at all? You know what I mean? Like, what are you selling? I mean, you're ready to be vetted, and that's part of the process. Allowing them to see what's in it for them, allowing them to vet you is the whole new, especially the you know, in the past they would have said, great, send me something, right? Send me a brochure. Now they just go Google you. They go Facebook search you. They go YouTube search you. They go LinkedIn search you. They go vet you. So if there's an about statement there that just articulates further and intelligently and from the heart, that's what people want. People want to know from the heart where you stand. So bravo. That's a good example, even though we fell down the rabbit hole. It's in the beginning, it's a good example. What I'm trying to extract is when somebody works on their business as intensely as you do, as intensely as I do, these are the distinctions we make. And in your case, it just led to a $5 million listing. Everybody listening, this lady is on this phone with me every single call, never misses unless she's in love with her husband on some romantic vacation, right? And this is what happens, okay? This is what happens. You have to lean in on the micro details of your business and just keep it simple. The consumer doesn't want you to be complicated. The consumer wants you to keep it simple, period, paragraph, right? And they react to that. Anything you want to weigh in on that, Laura?
I think so.
Anything, any reaction there? No.
I mean, yeah, it sounds like that's exactly what we need to be doing.
Yeah, you got it. So Jace is new, who's going to do those prospecting calls. If you know who I'm referencing, and Laura is not new, and she is my boss. She's across from me today. So all right. Next, I have Peter Guiney. You there, buddy?
I am.
Okay, so we've got a good hot listing. You and John Griffin are all excited about the Redfin hot listing ranking, right? Which means
I would say John
John's a lot more interested than I am.
So would we. And I hate to bundle you with him, but I just had to bring him up because anytime I could take a poke at my own brother in a sales training call, I'm going to do it. Right. So,
Of course.
so, but in all seriousness, if that is something, right? If that's something that's an indicator that when you put a listing on that digitally it's being seen, we'll take it for whatever that means. But just out of curiosity, what does it mean to you? What does that mean to you going into the weekend?
I think there are a couple different levels of meaning to me. I think first and foremost, it means that there are a lot of people that presumably are interested in this property and would make the sale of this property go quickly and smoothly and hopefully for as much money as possible. It also, to me, presents an opportunity where there are going to be hopefully a lot of people coming through the open houses and a lot of people that, maybe might not end up buying this house, but then I can work with them to help them find the next one. So I see that as an opportunity as, these people are coming to me. I'm going to have a personal interaction with them at the open house and I'm going to put my hooks in them. And they are my client after Saturday and Sunday. And I'm going to find them a house if this one is not the one for them.
Yeah, perfect. And so similar to the content concept, and you get this well, I just want to state it out loud for everybody. What Peter and I have talked about is just, again, you're all far too intelligent. I'll make an argument and probably overthink all this stuff when you go to try to get with people and then there's a panic attack, right? So I think what's most important is that what Peter and I have talked about is a manifestation of the same thing that I talked about with Gail just now, what goes in the mail. So in other words, if I'm sitting here with these courses, and I'll just hold them up for those of you that are online, you'll be able to see them. And when you go to the recording, again, 3 core courses or core pieces of content that deliver a strategic approach for buyers, sellers, and of course, agents. And in this case, Peter has been kind enough to give Griffin Realty Group an opportunity to help structure his business. So going into this weekend, for the first time, he has this structured thing, but the adjustment and the timing is interesting, Pete, right? Is to understand in that moment that the probability of a hot home attracting somebody who walks through the door and says, I want this one, I want to write an offer and I'm not working with an agent, that's when Jupiter aligns with Mars on a weekend, right? So it works out well. However, the larger probability and the opportunity for you and anybody else doing this is that we don't need Zillow. We don't need Realtor.com. We don't need anybody because there's no go-between. So the best lead generation that quickly turns into prospect is an open house because you're face-to-face. And I think the open house sign-up sheet becomes the most important vetting process for you to determine what kind of a situation do I have in front of me. So imagine yourself as much as, and here's the other challenge, you know that your number one fiduciary responsibility is to this seller. And I know that this is a friend of yours. And I know that you really care about this. That's clear to me, right? So we know that the number one fiduciary responsibility is to her. So to sit there and play maitre d' at per se, as an example, her restaurant, you're trying to sell her the equivalent of a restaurant, meaning you're the maitre d', nobody comes through that door because you're in control of the situation. And I think that mindset, Pete, going in, which I hear in your voice clearly today, but just to reiterate it for everybody going in there. But here's where I think it matters the most. The minute that you sense that you can't be her fiduciary because it's just not a match, I think the next part of it that matters is you just lean in. And this is where everybody's a little bit soft and not too aggressive. And I don't like that. Hey, it sounds like this one might not work for you. Good news for you is I've done a printout of everything that's in a similar price range in this area. And even if you're giving away the addresses, it doesn't matter. Give it to them because that changes that relationship. It has all the addresses and some of the specs. I'd be happy to get you more of them, but it's a printed out sample because I know running around with your app trying to find this one or that. And even maybe, this is a new thought I had, Peter, going into this weekend, maybe even on that list, a list of other open houses in the area, okay? Let everybody let that sink in for a second. To not only give, right? To not only give them, in other words, what is the way that once it's no longer an opportunity for your seller friend, what is the best way to make it really easy on anybody else that you decide you want to make it easy on, right? Including, I know it's going to sound like a crazy stretch, but including somebody else's client. To just be a good steward of information, to make this easy to give. I'll just promise you, if you can take it that far, I'm not saying that you or anybody else has to go that way and has to do that. I'm just suggesting that if you can own the mindset all the way to the extent that you're willing to have other properties for sale, the insight on what has sold, right? And you can make the case for your seller saying, I printed a list of what sold. I actually use these to help me, price this house, and open houses. So I'm going to give you 3 beats of possibilities, Peter, and anybody else. It's that I have pictures of properties with their addresses of properties for sale, where they're open houses, and what has sold, because it matters for you to see what the money buys. So those are all 3 pieces of content that are possible at an open house that are the equivalent of the power that Gail was just talking about what she sent, right? To the expired, it's definitely, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. Come on. Go ahead.
Finish that thought, buddy.
I was just going to say,
Okay, but I was just,
go ahead. You go.
I'll go, Griff.
Yep.
What I was just going to say is that, this business, there are a million agents all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point we have to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the pool of agents.
Right.
And I think by sort of providing this information, even if it's not going to lead to any business,
right,
is a good thing. And I have had people come to me after being with other agents because of what I do, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
People have been working with me and went with other people.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that the more tools, the more offerings that we bring to the table, the better. And this may not work out for this particular client that I show for an open house down the road, but they may talk to someone else and say, hey, look, I got this information from this agent over at Morningside Path. He was a great guy, which is, Pete Guiney. Yeah. So it'll all work out in the wash, as my dad says.
For
and
sure.
I think that's a good strategy for an open house.
Well, I think it takes the pressure off of you too, right? I mean, here's what Pete, I think the problem is this, and especially in Boston, where you and John, have a career, I was stunned at the mentality of scarcity downtown Boston more than the Cape. Okay. I was stunned by it. That there were agents that actually would have to step outside to have conversations because they were afraid somebody sitting in the desk next to them were going to steal somebody from them. That just boggles my mind, right? So to see that happen all across this industry just highlights one thing: the mentality of scarcity is alive and well. So the ability, Pete, to differentiate and say, I have the complete opposite mindset. I believe that there's plenty. That's why I'm willing to give you these lists, even with the addresses, not try to put you in your head like, well, I'll reveal the addresses if you say you're going to work with me. It just doesn't work well that way. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's so much energy and anxiety, right? Whereas you can go into this open house with just such a great positive attitude if you embrace this attitude of plenty. Knowing that just giving, like your father said, not only does it work out in the wash, but a couple of them come out really clean and you look good at the end because it fits just right. And that's what will happen.
Yeah.
So you're really involved in this lead generation moment. Now, I want to add something here, Pete, right? Because when we think about the open house or the expired, and we're getting anecdotes today of where this works out, but yet we will, Grant Van Dyke, this is going to be a good segue for you after Peter asks his questions, but we will rush to the internet. We will spend an enormous amount of money just to find the needle in the haystack, but we'll be more than happy on the internet to give somebody, hey, I'll give you access to this, or they come right into one of these lead platforms. How many of you have hundreds of leads getting properties from you, from people who are working with other agents and have no intention of ever working with you. You're more than willing to do it there, right? Now that just hit a nerve, didn't it? Right? You're more than willing to do it there in the thousands for some of my top producers. In the thousands, they're willing to give away access, knowing that those people, there's only a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction that will ever even give them conversation, let alone go do a deal, right? But yet we'll go into an open house where we're actually direct with a sampling of that population, and we'll be lost. Let that sink in. It's crazy when you think about it, isn't it? Right? So, Pete, any thoughts about that before you get out there this weekend? Because I'll be looking for the feedback on the next sales training call. Excited to hear that you double-ended it, and Redfin was happy, and John Griffin was happy.
Yeah, I usually don't put much sort of stock or strength into what Redfin says, and your lunatic brother was all over my case about the Redfin hot property, whatever the hell it is. So
I'm only glad you can share my pain now.
I'm looking forward to sort of presenting some offers to my friend and client, Danny,
awesome.
At the end of the day.
Yes.
And if I can get another deal, another couple of leads out of it, all the better.
Yeah.
But this is certainly you're bringing shedding some light on some great options here, Danny, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. And like you said, I'm going to be the maitre d'. I'm in charge of this open house.
Yeah.
A lot of people go in with a very passive attitude.
Yeah.
And they just sit back and, they're just kind of, watching the dog outside the store. It doesn't want anything to do with it. I'm just the opposite. You want me to cover your open house? Sure. Boom.
Yeah.
I'll do it, whenever I can. Because that's just an opportunity to make a couple of bucks.
I love it. And I know how much you care about this gal. So let's lean in and let's get it done for her. And then, we'll have something to celebrate with success marketing, which happens next, right? So once this goes under agreement, it goes under quickly because you were there leaning in for seller. Now we take it out to other people and we say, look, this is what we did. Here's how we did it. And we can do it for you. And that's the success marketing around listings, right? So we have the listings marketing that's leading into the weekend. I have all the confidence in the world that you will have this under agreement in short order. And then we go into phase 2, which is the success marketing to say to the rest of the people in that small area, hey, we just did this and it was highly efficient and here's what happened, right? So best wishes are on there, and I'll be on the other end of the phone. Looking forward to hearing the feedback. So good luck with it.
Thanks, Danny.
Okay, buddy. All right, GVD. So you see where I was going with that? You with me? Do I have you, buddy?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So where I was, where I was going with this whole thing now is that I was just trying to say to you that, as we continue to push through this internet, you guys are wildly effective with that. The realtor.com. And let's go back and reiterate for people what it is that we're talking about, that you get realtor.com leads, okay, that are not like IDX leads. I just want to make this very clear to people. People think that IDX leads and some of the leads from like a Zillow or a realtor.com are the same. I'll say they're similar, but they're not the same. That's not my experience, because my experience is that what was said or how it was done is extremely different from one group to the next, right? So I think that's really the most important thing that we have to talk about, is that if you go and you look at the IDX situation, what has been said is most likely a free list of homes or instant access. So for example, at the extreme level, you have the sync site, which you had at one point in time, I think, and if you didn't, so many people in the group have had it, that's the less branded offer for access to homes. And when it's used on social, there's not even a tease in most cases. It's a forced opt-in. So the barrier to entry is harsh, but a lot of people know the game, and so they'll just put themselves in there and they won't care too much. So you've got this whimsical inquiry. So now we have this huge host of people that we're trying to find somebody who's actually further evolved and is along the way, right? Make sense?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
I'm just kind of looking through what we've closed on Realtor this year to date.
Yeah.
Average time with them is 2 to 3 months. 3 months.
Yeah. So the
Start to close.
Yeah. So the point is they're already more evolved. And I think the app companies like Realtor, I call them tech companies, app companies, whatever you want, they've just bought a tremendous amount of eyeballs got them excited to use the app. By the way, one of the number one ways that these companies are getting people to use their app is by giving them what on the weekends? Access to open house information. Okay. Sure, anybody that has a good website that also subsequently creates an app can get hyper local traffic if you just spend enough time, money, and effort. But what I keep saying is that I'm seeing the content desire, it revolves around them needing to put up open house information. So that's also interesting to me. So I would look at also, when are these calls coming in? Are more of them coming in during the week? Are they coming in on the weekends? So that you have that orientation that that call has. It's not just your script. It's not just what you say. It's not just the timing, because all that matters, right? But it's also their orientation to know that and to not stumble. Because I felt yesterday in your scripting with them, you were sort of defaulting a little bit towards defensive. And that's nowhere near the skill level that you are personally. So I wanted to put that back on the table and talk a little bit about that, because it was very interesting to see that that's how you felt, right? In other words, when I asked you, well, what are, you know, why don't I just go, I played a little bit of the devil's advocate. Why don't I just go to the listing agent? I'm going to get a better deal. Oh, no, they don't represent your interest. And so it defaults very quickly to defensive. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
And I just,
oh, absolutely. I felt awful about my answer.
Exactly, because we don't give it much, but yet crazy enough on muscle, because you're so talented, you're so well versed in this, you worked on it so much, like Gail, that you were able to do it on muscle. But what are you going to tell Katie? What are you going to tell anybody, Dawn, anybody else that's, you know, in your group, in your team, in your influence? What are you going to tell them? You can't tell them to be you. So we have to chunk up out of this. What is it? And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to go exploring with you a little bit. What is it that you think when you get one of these Realtor.com leads, and that would be the same for some of the Zillow leads, I think they behave similarly. What do you think it is that they want when they pick up the phone? Now, take a breath before you answer. I want you to bring yourself back in your mind to some of these calls, right? Hang on, guys. Someone in Michigan's got a live mic. I want you to go back in time and think about what this conversation was like. And I want you to really think and listen like I did to a couple of these expireds, and changed it to the tune of now Gail going out and using that same tweak to get a $5 million listing. Okay. So by listening to the consumer, spreading the word amongst you all, we're getting that result. So you need to help us. It's like a sign call, but it's digital. What did they want when they picked up the phone?
Well, yeah, on the buy side, they respond to a specific property. So it's interesting. I don't know exactly what they want, because a lot of them you don't get a hold of. If you get a hold of them in the first minute, you got them. Can I say it that way? I mean,
Sure.
if I can get a hold of them within the first minute of them hitting the site, we can have a conversation. And if it's strictly on the buy side, they're interested in this, and they don't want to deal with the listing agent, then there's a great conversation, and it's relatively easy. And that's what I like about the Realtor.com leads. And I guess the ones that say, no, I thought you were a listing agent, that's the only person I'm dealing with. The tone of what they're saying, maybe I get a little sensitive or a little like, all right, I don't want to deal with you kind of thing. But I try and go in there, and that's where I was stumbling yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
So if they just want to deal with the listing agent, sometimes you get hung up on, and whatever that might be.
Yeah. So here's what I'm asking you. Go deeper, and you're still stuck in what your noise in your head and your aggravation and all that stuff. Go deeper into what do they want? All of them. What do they want? Is there anything in common, or does it vary one side to the next?
Ultimately, they want a great deal in a home. Ultimately, they want to buy a home.
In that moment, what do they want?
In their process.
In that moment, when they get contacted, or they let Realtor.com know they want an agent, what do they want? You're still not there yet, and I'm not going to let up on you. What do they want in that moment where they exchange their information with Realtor.com? What do they want?
property information
Which one?
on that home.
Do you know that one when you get the
On
lead?
that home.
Do you know when you get that lead? Do you know that one?
Well, I guess that's kind of, you get the address. Yeah, hey, and usually I think they're templated requests they put on Realtor would like more information on this property, is what it says.
Okay, great.
So I think they want information on that property or something in that neighborhood.
Okay, well, I'm going to make the argument that the first beat is right. The second one you're adding down the line, because we know that as we just dealt with Pete's situation, we know that's ultimately they want more access. But what I'm asking you is, as we go forward with this, the one thing, if I paint you all into a corner, that we're all not doing is we're not taking a beat and asking ourselves, in this situation, what does this person want? And then with absolutely no regard for anything else, to give it to them. There's extreme power in that micro moment in time. Extreme. To give them what they want in that moment. So if they are calling off of a Zillow or off of a Realtor.com, those are competitors, okay, who are competing to try to get people to do just that. They're going to stick these properties in your face over and over. They're going to have you save them, whatever. They're going to pop up. People are using those places because those guys spend enormous amount of money on SEO and ad spend to get people to play the game on their app or on their desktop, right? And that's what they're doing. So that person picks up the phone. I'm sorry, doesn't pick up the phone, puts information in and says, call me. And you get the number and you pick up the phone and now you say what? Change it. Because what you were doing yesterday was the wrong starting point, I think. And I'll lean in on this one. I think what we should be doing, and I know you say, how long do you have to call back? How long would you say?
A minute.
Okay.
To get them fresh and hot, a minute.
Okay, you really think it's that fast?
Yeah, hold on, 30 seconds. I do.
Okay.
Because you can call them in a minute and a half or even a couple minutes. Oh, I've already talked to another agent. I've already talked to somebody. We've scheduled to see the property.
Okay.
That happens, not all the time. That's 30% of the time.
Okay. So there's
and then other times, go ahead.
So there's my point. Is that because I was going to make a suggestion, but I'm listening to the consumer, and I'm listening to what the reality of the moment is. If the reality of the moment is that you have lost on a regular basis because you didn't get the lead and just hit dial, so we have to deal with that first beat. Similar to why I was really drilling down with Gail and talking about a sales funnel the right way. Do you send the info first or do you call first? Nope, I call first immediately. So you two are getting this too, feel free to stop me. I'm pointing to my team here. So the key is, if we get that expired, you get that realtor, she gets that expired, whatever. The key is pick up the phone and say something about what they want right in that moment if you want to get the toehold in, right? If you want to get the toehold in.
Correct.
But now it's what to do and how not to fall apart and get defensive. And I think we're always so over-prepared, ready for all of this nonsensical, I guess, objection handling and NLP stuff and all this crap. When the truth is, if you just pick up the phone and say, hey, Danny, I saw that you inquired about 123 Main Street. I'm calling you to book a showing. Like, is that what they want? Then just that's your script. I mean, I don't know if it's about booking the showing exactly or not, but just, again, if we are in this world of shared listings, you are paying Realtor.com to take those shared listings for you, put them out there, then why not just presume that you're calling to set up a showing? Why are you trying to do so much more? It's a good question, isn't it?
It's a great question.
Right.
And the last two leads that came in from Realtor, that's exactly what it was. And it was on the heels of listening to some, folks online, Grant Cardone and them. Just assume the sale and go, to your point, perfect. The last one I just called and did get a hold of them. I'm here to schedule your appointment. Would you like to take a look?
Exactly. Because that's all it is. I mean, just assume it. I mean, it's the same thing with the expireds. Now, expired's a little bit more touchy. I'm not saying, because the context is a little different. This is somebody who went to realtor.com. You did a good job yesterday of saying, you know, I'm an affiliate of realtor.com or whatever it is. I'm a partner with realtor.com. That's also the right language, right? Say, hey, I'm a realtor.com partner and I just got this inquiry. Just call and help you set up the showing. Make the presumption, because you can always gear it down. Oh, no, I didn't want to see it. I just wanted some more information. No problem. Let me pull it all up here and get it. What's the best way to get you a full listing sheet? Period. Just keep moving, steaming right through this stuff. What's the best way? Where do you want me to send the full listing sheet? Right?
You kind of already act like they're yours.
Yep.
Well, they are. Do you see what I'm saying?
I don't know how
To that
they
extent,
still
they
don't
are.
Just sell it off to like numerous agents and like
Because they
whoever
can do whatever they want.
Like there's no regulations to that?
No, there's none.
Crazy.
It's none. We live in an IDX world. The minute you say I'll share my listing with the world, it's a free for all. It's the Wild West. So what I'm trying to do is make these sales funnel adjustments to forget about well, does it?
To get 10 calls from different agents about the same
Okay,
house?
good.
Yeah,
So why do you think we have to make sales adjustments? Because we're not considering that this really sucks for the consumer.
Yeah.
See, what the consumer can't see, Grant, Laura now, both of them in the hot seat, what they can't see behind the scenes is the ugliness of change in an industry.
Yeah.
And the ugliness of change in our industry is that there's the benefit that we gave everything digitally to the world in 1995, about to be specific, where Realtor.com itself was the first technology with a cutesy little, deal with NAR to give it away. And they were the only act in the game. And then ultimately you had Trulia, Zillow, Redfin's now added the brokerage piece of it too. So they're just doing a better job digitizing the information. But they're not really any of those people great brokerages. They're definitely not great local brokerages. Their affiliates so far aren't extraordinary. So our opportunity is to decide whether or not you want to dance with the devil. So if you want to go in and you want to get contacts from them because they seem to have the consumer eyeballs at the moment, and that's atrophying right now, I'm fully aware of what the atrophy is at Zillow and Realtor, etc. Okay? Why? Because of what you just said, Laura. That sucks for the consumer. Can you imagine simply inquiring about a property on a platform that you've begun to trust, and then it's a free-for-all of people calling you to book this? So why do you think IDX has atrophied in a big way? Because when we went from the Craigslist world, we blew up Craigslist with the ugly change. And they threw us out. Then every templated website company proliferated doing the same crap, which was just giving opportunity to anybody, because you could go to Google and everybody could buy the same lead. Somebody would opt in 2-3 sites thinking they were getting different information. They weren't. Now you get a whole bunch of people bothering them. So what has happened is the consumer continues to withdraw.
Yeah.
Okay. Further and further and further and further and further and further. You got it?
Oh, I get
So
it.
why do you
I see it.
think I'm raving about and raging about all the stuff we are? Get in an open house and circumvent all the noise. Because when somebody walks through the door and they can see you and you can have an intelligent conversation and you sound insightful, they begin to lean in and trust again.
Yeah, which is
Right?
exactly why you hear crickets with all IDX leads until they're actually ready to take action.
Everybody hear that? That's from somebody that's done this for 12
Yeah.
years. That's why you hear crickets from IDX leads until they're actually ready to do something. So my point is, I'm not saying stop what you're doing. I think it was Will Daly who said to you yesterday the same thing. Don't get rid of that. But he and I were talking yesterday in the mastermind. I know he's in here today too. We were talking about that neighborhood, expertise in that guy. Start to use that correct language even with these leads. But the way that you get them to listen is by being different in that moment too. Okay? I think it's fair game to get there first and presume ownership of booking the appointment. The next default, I think, would be that you end up deferring over to not the showing, but the full information sent to them from the source MLS. Let me give you all the details of that. And while I'm at it, let me give you, here we go again. Let me give you what else is available in that neighborhood that looks like that. And I'll even throw in the solds in the last 30 days so you can see what the money bought. So you see, it's always going to be the same value added that we all have. If we're intelligent in approaching this and we don't let this technology tail wag the dog, we end up just simply saying to them, here, and you're demonstrating it. You're not saying it out loud. Well, I've got this great strategy, and you don't have to overstate the case. You just have to act as if. Presume it, like you said. Just assume it. Oh, you called to set the showing up? No problem. I'll be happy to show it up, set it up for you. When would be good? Well, great. I'd like to go this afternoon if possible. Absolutely. Let me just check in with the seller. By the way, while we're out there, was there anything else that you wanted to see too? Because I might be able to bang a couple showings at once for, say, comparison's sake. So that presumption that you're helpful, this bizarre thing that happened to our industry with buyer agency and the coaching around it that taught you to have some sort of a control and be a control freak, only worked to a very large extent when the information was truly proprietary. Yeah. You follow me? When it was truly proprietary and you could command that they could come to you, and in lieu of being able to see any different online, they did. And that went away so fast. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen now. I'm not talking in absolutes, but the insanity of the real estate agent to believe we live in the same context is just, it'll kill you in this industry right now. So I think the key is meet these people where they are in their decision-making process by giving them what they want at that moment. And you know what they want. You know what they want as experts. You're not guessing that somebody wants or needs something. You know exactly where they are. Give it to them. Right? Would you agree?
Definitely.
Okay, Grant, thoughts?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think I used to overcomplicate the phone call. I've gotten a lot better in the last year or two. Just talk like you would to a buddy or a friend. Or your folks about, hey, where you want to move? Let's go do this. Just assume things and just be natural, not too salesy.
Yeah.
When somebody comes in, I'm on the buy side anyway, just want some information and go look at a property without playing the game.
Yeah, that's right. And playing the game is painful, exhausting. It causes anxiety, and you have a really difficult time scaling it. Because for all of you that are good on your feet, because you've been in this for many years and you have experience and you can turn this, even you got defensive yesterday, and you are so much better than that. So you proved my point yesterday by going through that role play with me to say, gee, I'm disappointed in myself. You said that today. So I'm trying to help you, not hurt you, right? It was disappointing to feel like that desperation. How could you be this far in your career and such a top producer? And that's the default, because we're just simply not meeting these people where they're at with what they want. Where they're at with what they want. Where they're at with what they want. And that goes all the way from my mastermind members to adjusting these letters that go out. Where are they at and what do they want? Sometimes they don't know what they want, so it becomes more challenging. So you really have to listen, because we know what they need from a strategic standpoint, but what they want is help. That's what they want. So what kind of help would be the best at that moment? For example, I'll switch gears here at the end of the call here with probates, okay? In a probate situation, what do they want? Help. They're at an attorney, someone just died, they're discombobulated, they want help. So you send them something about the probate process in the case that it includes real estate. But in your probate process, you say, look, if you haven't already, step number one is you got to find somebody who's a probate attorney if you don't already have that. That's the guidance that they need. Include a list of probate attorneys that are local. That's what we need to do when we go there. In case there's no real estate, we still left a good footprint.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
For sure.
Got it, Grant?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any final thoughts? Got a small
It makes you think and slow down.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah. Well, just
do the right thing. I mean,
yes. You just
deliver
said
for
it.
them, and
Yeah.
and we'll get what we need
Yeah.
or what we're out to do.
For sure. But not with everybody, but like I said to Pete, imagine yourself calling every realtor.com lead, him talking to every single person that walks through the open house, Laura and Gail exhausting every single expired, getting them first what they want and need. And just saying, this is the small group of people that I'm going to, no matter who they are and what the outcome is, I'm going to give them what they want and need. I'm just going to give it to them. And from there, I'm going to trust, because it's a fact, and that's the way sales work. I'm going to believe and trust that those people, consequently, there will be enough of them that will appreciate it and need me in return. And some won't. Some will be the very extreme, but start practicing and getting ready for the extreme. The guy that's going to yell at you, the guy that's going to tell you he's going direct. Yeah, no problem. No problem. You want me to give you the information of the listing agent? Make it easy on you? And by the way, just so you know, you're going directly to them.
Good.
You should make sure that you know about dual agency. You should make sure you know how to be protected in that whole thing, right? Like, be so bold that you're willing to sell a house for another agent and not get paid. I know that sounds insane, but it works every day in any service industry. It is so overwhelmingly powerful. People are in shock. You want a unique selling proposition? Go to that extreme, right? And watch what happens. You'll have a hard time coming back to me and telling me it didn't work. I'll guarantee you. There's nothing like an altruistic approach when you're trying to get people to sell, right? And buy. All right. Final thoughts, questions, anything for me here? GVD, while you're on the hot seat?
No, a little refresher on the expired really, because we want to start that. Maybe that's next week.
Yeah, next week. Helpline. See on the helpline, because I'll have the mechanics down a little bit tighter with the cover letter, etc. Yeah?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Anybody else?
Awesome, Tom.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you for coming back in the hot seat. Good?
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. All right. I'm going to move on then. Everybody have an awesome weekend. Try this stuff. It works. See you on the other side of next week. Thanks.
Great weekend. Great week.
You too, bud.
Tony just called me.